some of those platforms, like smart TVs, tablets, mobile phones, those are a very mainstream mass market. How does that influence how you guys are designing games like RuneScape 3 or Transformers to a broader audience potentially?
Yeah, I mean, we've always gone for the broadest possible reach. We've always said we don't want to be exclusive. I mean, we want to be exclusive in terms of quality or distinct in terms of quality, but we don't want to be exclusive in terms of device or demographics, psychographics. So, once I select next-gen devices based on, is this big enough? Is this global enough? But at the same time, I think we're also very happy to say, let's take some future bets. And that's an R&D that comes at a cost. But if you didn't try those two, you'll never get the happy surprises. Conventional wisdom would say today, everyone makes more money on iOS, so just put your product there. If you have to worry about multiple pipelines and submissions, and just focus on where the money's at. But then the stats would say Android's outselling them. They don't make as much money, but there's greater penetration. And then you've got guys on the fringe, BlackBerry, Kindle Fire, Amazon. You go, well, if you're going to do a tablet experience, you may as well do all four. Where do you think your dollars will come from today is one question, but what about the experience of tomorrow? And who's going to be the winner? And you can't handicap these things. I think that's where you have to be very democratic, and we need to be on all. But we've very much focused on mass market devices, desktop computing, versus niche gaming devices like a Nokia N-Gage or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah, that would be
Which didn't go anywhere.
And I also wanted to get, obviously we have a U.S. perspective on this, but I wanted to get your thoughts on RuneScape from the perspective of who's playing the game. Are there particular countries, and where does the U.S. fit into that whole RuneScape market?
So the US for us is a really big market. About 65% of our player base is actually in North America, and then quite strong, Western Hemisphere. So UK, Nordic, Scandinavian region. We're about to launch later this year in South America, both in Brazil and then Latam, Argentina, and the rest of those languages there. We've had a team on the ground for the past few months setting that up. Obviously strong community in Australia, New Zealand too, but it was largely English-speaking Western Hemisphere so far, of which America was dominant. In terms of the breakdown but we're consciously looking to extend that now and be more global about it. We're excited about Asia. I guess maybe everyone is in China, Korea, but we think we can bring something special there. And again, browser gaming is a perfect for that territory, just in terms of piracy and everything else. It's just right. Demographic, wow. I mean, it's a true spread. It is so mass market, and as I touched on earlier, core and casual. It is. I think of all the MMOs, we've got the highest ratio of women to men in the game. And again, because it's not just about fighting, not just about PvP or raids, or you can be totally engaged with just social activity or crafting or whatever else. So it's a fantastic balance. It's probably still male heavy, 60-40 as a split, and then truly across 13 to 18 is probably a good first rump. But we did Runefest, our first ever player event, where we didn't know the answer to these questions. Like we said, let's bring the players in, let's find out our most avid fans. And we're obviously really worried about what they could be. Would everyone arrive and be 8? Would everyone arrive and be 80? We had some anecdotal evidence, but and it was just wonderful to see. Like one of the, there were 3 multi-generational families there, where the kids were playing it, the parents were playing with the kids, and the grandparents were playing with the kids too. And it was kind of a great way for them to keep in touch. Families, some who were in the Middle East, armed services, playing with their kids back in the States to keep in touch. So it was very much a family game, or a family-friendly game. I mean, it's more adult in terms of its complexity, and it has some slightly more gritty storylines and things like that on some aspects of the game. But there's nothing gratuitous. It's still family friendly. It could be very comfortably under 13. There's no blood. It's not gratuitous. There's no sex. So it is really family friendly. But I'd say for our very young players, we have players some as young as 8. But these are very smart 8-year-olds. These 8-year-olds are probably feel or aspirational 13, 14.